Passengers at gate B17 froze. No one understood what they were seeing. A 7-year-old boy, small backpack, trembling. And around him, 14 canine police dogs forming a perfect circle. No barking, no lunging, just watching him. The police shouted for everyone to stand back. Parents clutched their children. Phones started recording. Whispers spread like wildfire. Is he dangerous? Is something in his bag? What's going on? But then, the boy looked up and said something that changed everything. And what happened next stunned the entire airport, the police, and eventually, the whole nation. Before we continue, if you love emotional, powerful stories about dogs, loyalty, bravery, and the unexpected heroes hiding in plain sight, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and tell me where you're watching from. Because today's story proves one thing. Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they're only 7 years old. Elijah Turner was small for his age, with messy brown hair and a shy smile. He was flying for the first time, not for vacation, not for adventure, but to attend his father's military memorial. His dad, Officer Daniel Turner, was a decorated canine handler, the kind who ran into danger while others ran away, and the one who, months earlier, had died in an explosion while protecting civilians overseas. His partner, Canine Atlas, had survived, barely. Elijah carried only one thing in his tiny backpack, his father's police badge and a letter he had written to Atlas, the dog who had worked beside his dad. His mother had told him they didn't have time to visit the canine unit before their flight, but Elijah didn't listen. He slipped away while she bought water, following the signs he remembered. Canine Security Wing, authorized personnel only. A guard spotted him, radioed it in, and within seconds, everything spiraled. Airport canine units had been on high alert for weeks. There'd been threats, credible ones. A child wandering into a restricted zone, carrying an unknown bag? They responded with maximum protocol. Officers surrounded him first, then the dogs were released in controlled formation, a move meant for dangerous suspects. 14 canines, 14 trained protectors, circling one shaking 7-year-old boy. Passengers watched in horror. Officers shouted commands. Dogs stood rigid, ears forward, bodies tense. Elijah froze. Then, slowly, very slowly, he opened his backpack. Officers reached for their weapons. Passengers screamed. But what came wasn't a threat. It was a police canine medal and a crumpled letter. Elijah Turner, one officer whispered, reading the name. God, is that Daniel's kid? Everything shifted. The commanding officer, Captain Reed, asked gently, Son, why are you here? Elijah wiped his nose, tried to be brave. I just wanted to give Atlas the letter, because he's all I have left of my dad. He held it out with shaking hands. One of the canines, an older German shepherd, stepped forward. The officers gasped, because the dog was limping slightly, because the scars were unmistakable, because this wasn't just any canine. This was Atlas, his father's partner, the dog who survived the blast that killed Daniel Turner. And somehow, some way, Atlas had broken protocol. He walked past the handlers, past the invisible rules, and sat directly in front of Elijah. Then, slowly, very slowly, he leaned forward and placed his head on his chest. The airport fell silent. Captain Reed whispered, voice breaking, He remembers him. He remembers the smell. He remembers Daniel. Elijah dropped to his knees, sobbing into the dog's fur. Atlas had been kept at the airport's canine facility because he was retiring, injured, traumatized, unable to perform active duty. But the truly shocking revelation was this. The day Daniel Turner died, He pushed Atlas behind a wall seconds before the explosion. Atlas survived only because Daniel chose to save him over himself. Elijah hadn't known that. The officers didn't know Elijah didn't know. And in the middle of that airport, surrounded by strangers, Elijah collapsed into Atlas's fur, whispering, "He saved you, the way he saved everybody." Atlas whimpered softly, not like a dog, but like a creature carrying years of grief. And something unbelievable happened. One by one, all 14 police dogs lay down around the boy and Atlas. A protective circle, a silent honor, a living shield. Passengers cried. Officers wiped their eyes. Phones recorded a moment no one would ever forget. When Elijah's mom finally reached the scene, she panicked, until she saw Atlas curled around her son, refusing to move. Captain Reed pulled her aside. "Ma'am, Atlas doesn't bond like this, not since the incident. He hasn't let anyone near him. This boy, your boy, he's the first thing that's calmed him in months." She covered her mouth, tears spilling. Captain Reed continued, "We'd like to retire Atlas permanently. He earned his peace. But he needs someone who understands what he's been through, someone he already trusts, someone connected to Daniel." His voice cracked. "We want Elijah to take him home." The entire canine unit, the handlers, even the airport staff gathered around in anticipation. Atlas looked up at Elijah with tired, hopeful eyes. Elijah whispered, barely audible, "Do you want to come home with me?" Atlas nuzzled the boy and gently licked the badge hanging from his neck. Decision made. Word spread fast. By evening, the story was everywhere. The governor called. Canine associations across the country sent messages. Even the Secretary of Defense released a statement honoring Daniel Turner's sacrifice. But the most beautiful moment happened on the airport tarmac. As Elijah and Atlas prepared to board their flight, all 14 police dogs lined up in 2 rows, a ceremonial canine honor guard. Officers saluted, handlers bowed their heads, passengers applauded through tears. Elijah walked through the living corridor, Atlas limping faithfully at his side. When he reached the end, Captain Reed knelt before him and handed him a plaque, inscribed with, "To Elijah Turner, the bravest boy we ever met, and the new guardian of a true hero." Elijah hugged him. Atlas gently leaned his head on the captain's shoulder one last time. Then they boarded. Months later, Atlas flourished. He slept beside Elijah every night, followed him to school drop-off, lay on his feet during homework, protected him the way he once protected Daniel. And Elijah, he smiled again, laughed again, found healing wrapped in fur and loyalty. On the anniversary of Daniel's passing, Elijah and Atlas visited his grave. The boy placed the canine medal on the headstone. Atlas sat beside him, straight-backed, strong, proud, as if standing watch with his partner again. Elijah whispered, "Dad, I'm taking care of your best friend, and he's taking care of me." Atlas let out a soft, almost human sigh, as if he understood every word. And that day, in the quiet breeze, one thing became clear. Heroes leave legacies. Sometimes those legacies walk on 2 feet, and sometimes on 4.